Welcome to the first of many guides for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that will help you get up to scratch with the game's mechanics. In today's video, we'll be covering the combat. Whether you're a newcomer to the series or somebody who'd simply like a refresher, these are my top tips to help you prevail against those tricky encounters. If you're interested in more guides, then definitely leave a like and subscribe as there's plenty on the way. Without further ado, let's dive right in. The first tip I can give you, and one that's quite important, is that you should be switching your characters constantly whenever you're in battle. And this is for a couple of reasons. The first reason is because any character that you don't actively control in combat who is a member of your party will not sufficiently and efficiently gain any of their ATB bar, the active time battle bar, which is what you use to pull off unique attacks, use spells, or use items. By switching characters in combat constantly, you'll be able to build up the ATB bar for all of your party members quite rapidly, allowing you to hit them with their heavy hitting moves, or perhaps target a weakness by using an elemental spell, or ensure that you have enough ATB to heal a party member if they sustain sufficient damage. The second reason you want to be switching characters constantly is to pull aggro from whatever enemy you're facing. Typically, whatever enemy you're facing off against in combat will largely be attacking and focusing on the one character that you are currently controlling. And so by switching characters constantly, you are effectively forcing that enemy to divide its attention and its attacks between all three of your party members. This is worth keeping in mind, particularly when some of your party members' defenses aren't necessarily up to scratch, with some being weaker than others, and so it's important that you keep the aggro off of those characters at all times, otherwise you're going to be finding yourself in a spot of bother when their health drops quite rapidly. This next tip can be considered somewhat important and rather overpowered when used efficiently, and that is the perfect block. By timing a block when an enemy's attack is just about to hit the character that you're controlling, you'll be able to literally negate all of the damage that that attack would do. Provided, of course, you don't see that little red warning triangle pop up when the attack is being charged, but we'll talk about that in a second. Because you're able to negate all of the damage of an incoming attack, it's worth keeping in mind when enemies are about to attack and trying to time your block perfectly. Even if that means taking a step back in combat and simply watching what the enemy does to see if you can get the timing down. If you're struggling with the timing aspect of it all, you can use the precision defense materia to help make the perfect blocks easier to pull off. For my next tip, let's talk about those red warning triangles that I briefly touched upon. These warning triangles signify that an enemy is about to pull off a powerful attack that is unblockable, which means that you'll have to do one of two things. The first of which is that you need to put a large amount of distance between yourself and that enemy to ensure that their attack, whether it's an area of effect or a grab, doesn't touch you, otherwise you'll be suffering large damage. Or it could mean that you need to go in whilst the enemy is charging an attack and hit it with your strongest attacks possible, allowing you to stagger it out of the charging up animation, cancelling the attack entirely. That second option of going all in and all out on the attack is something you should consider if you don't think you have enough health to survive whatever attack is incoming, and you don't feel as though you'll be able to put enough distance between you and the enemy in time. Sometimes you don't have to do substantial amounts of damage. Sometimes it's simply enough to just hit the enemy with whatever element that they are weak to. Pressing ahead to the next tip, don't neglect the use of synergy skills. These are unique abilities that are dependent on the makeup of your party that you can use without the use of the active time battle bar. Though not all of them do substantial amounts of damage, a lot of them have plenty of utility in combat. For example, Tifa, who typically is only a ground fighter, can use the Soaring Flurry synergy skill to allow her to get airborne at the cost of nothing at all. This allows her to be an absolute menace in the air as well as the ground. Or take Cloud's Spellblade synergy skill that he can use with Aerith. This effectively allows you to charge up and throw out an attack that does just as much damage as a typical Braver without using any of the active time battle bar. Seriously, take the time to look through your folios and don't neglect the use of synergy skills. They may save your skin more than once in combat. And for my final tip, be sure to cater the makeup of your party not only to your own playstyle, but also to the enemies that you're currently facing. If you're facing off against a lot of aerial foes, you'll likely want to include Aerith or Barret in your party, considering they're long-range fighters. Or if you want, you can brute force the encounters with close-range fighters by simply equipping them with spells and unique synergy skills that allow them to fight at distance. The point that I'm trying to make is that there is no one right party. and that instead, your party should remain malleable, allowing you to adapt it to whatever situation you're currently facing off against. And those are my top 5 combat tips in 5 minutes for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you enjoyed today's video or found it helpful in any way, do be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if there's anything you think I missed, let me know down in the comments below. With all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next video.